Thank you, Angel, and Heidi ho, everyone. Welcome aboard. It is Thursday. Is it Thinking Thursday? Should we call it Thinking Thursday? Because that's quiz day, where we'll be putting ourselves to the test a little bit later to see if we've been paying attention through the week. And then there's a couple of curly ones in there as well, isn't there? Sometimes, most often, in fact. All right, before we get going into some trades, let's update where we're at in terms of the week from my point of view. Ash has had a couple of winners, I think, 2 winners. I think that's right. And here's where, look, I haven't put everything that was closed last week in here, I don't think. But yeah, I'm almost up to date with it. So open positions at the moment that we're holding is that long-term trade on the Euro CAD. Both 1 and 2 profits have been taken there, as has been the case on Aussie CAD and Pound CAD. Pound CAD and Pound CAD. Yeah, here it is. Okay, yeah, I knew it was on the rally. Just wanted to see how far it had gone. Still below the monthly pivot. And whilst ever that's the case, our stop loss is in a safe position and we are free trading that. So that's all good. The Aussie Yen trade that we are in and took, when was that? This time last week? No, Wednesday of last week. That's hovering around entry and not doing too much at all. And as you can see, a little close above the weekly pivot there. That might be an ominous sign for us. But again, free trading, that's no big deal. Just would like some profit, that's all. And the latest one was one that we took yesterday in the show. And we did hit TP1 and TP2 target is 120. Obviously, it's struggling with the pivots at the moment, or the monthly pivot, I think it is. Happy Thursday to you too, Paul P. And that's about it. Pending trades. Pound Kiwi, that's that monthly trade that we have put into the market. There's also another monthly trade that we've looked at placing for the last couple of weeks, actually. And I've decided to actually put it in the market, and there it is there. I'll give you the full parameters on that very, very shortly. But the one that I took this morning was Euro CAD on the daily chart, I think. That would make sense. Yes. So I'm playing this bar here. Once again, a almost key reversal bar, you'd call that, but it certainly hit a resistance level. It is a high test bar. And I like the prospect of getting just a weekly pivot before we take our first profit. And for that reason, I think it's a reasonable trade or reasonable order to have in the market. And price not doing much thus far today. And of course, it's been a very quiet week in terms of news, data, etc., etc. So really, it may explode today, may explode tomorrow, or it might just do absolutely nothing. Of course, there are all those options, as always, available. But I'm tipping that this can get to the weekly pivot. It may bounce off that, but so be it. The euro dollar trade that we took yesterday, I'll just update that for you. We sold into the market on the bottom of this bar here because we anticipated the false break. And that's the one candle false break. I might go into that a little bit later. The old school way of playing that, for me anyway, playing the false break was wait for a re-entry and then look for a lower high. And that's still valid, still perfectly valid. But this is I won't say cheats way, it's a shortcut way of taking the trade and does get you in to the false break in case you don't get a retracement. And that was very much the case yesterday. So that's why we took that one and looking for that to get through the weekly pivot, of course, and on with the job. It may not, but my preference or my speculative nature today says that we're going to get a daily pivot test and then we might get a bit of a continuation of what was set in motion yesterday. We will see. Of course, relying very, very heavily on the US dollar to continue its strength. Did I say that? Not sure if I should, because it's just a weird thing. Let's have a look at that. Actually, we were speculating on US dollar, Japanese yen, of course, as a result of we've had a couple of key reversals. The key reversal there. This didn't turn out to be a key reversal because the low is higher than the low of the previous bar. But then we got a little inside bar, and we were speculating as to which way this would go. And I was kind of looking to go as an OCO trade, so one each way. Decided not to do any of that, but now I see this little trade line through here, and this scenario, which intrigues me somewhat, because an entry underneath that bar, stop loss above the monthly pivot, kind of makes sense to me. Am I willing to do that? Is the next question. The pivots are well clear of our entry, and that's good. So it'd be a nice rejection. The one issue I do have is Swee, is that you? I can hear someone in the background. I'm not sure if that's you, Swee, or if it's Angel, maybe. Can't hear it anymore. Anyway, gone. So the risk that I would take into this would be around about that mark there, say nearly 60 pips. First take profit would be kind of there if you want to make it more risky than it needs to be there, which is about a little bit better than half of the risk. I'm considering it, but I haven't made up my mind yet. Maybe I should wait for what looks a better entry if it comes, and it looks like this. Nice trade line. If we got back below that and retested that area, I would get interested, because then I've got some room to take some profit. Okay, cool, Angel. Thank you. No problem at all. Rightio. So we should be talking about the pound, shouldn't we? Now, the reason I wanted to have a look at the pound now, apart from the fact that I don't want to trade the breakout today, is that we've got a very good slingshot setup here. I don't trade the first candle of London session, right? But gee whiz, I'm very tempted to do this. Very tempted. Should I break the rules? Tell me if I should break the rules, guys. Should I break the rules? Give me a hint. The hint would be yes or no. Or, g'day, SF. How you doing? You want me to break the rules? Half risk? You think? Oh, I hate doing it. How about quarter? How about quarter? Right, let's do it. Now, this will be a classic case of why I don't trade it if it doesn't work. So I've got an excuse already. 41.21. That can't be right. Try again. 41.21. That's what it's telling me. Oh, yeah. Okay. 41.21 is the entry, and the stop loss is at 1.4097. Don't go heavy on this, guys. It is the first candle of London, and I hate it. All right, there we go. So we've got our stops here. We could be more conservative and put them there. But if we're wrong here, we're probably going to see price go through the bottom. So this is, well, it's a multiple of trades here, really. We've got the break of the bottom of the range, which looks like being false at this point. We've got a false break, a clear false break indicator of this trade line. We've got a break and retest of the resistance trade line. We've got an untested daily pivot above us, and we've got a little bit of room to take our first profit, which is, let me tell you, what do we got? Risk of 23, or we just make it, don't we? Should we sneak it through the daily pivot? Should we be really bold? Let's go with 141.33 as our first take profit. I'll just use it manually. 141.33. To make that not red would be good. Let's be not red. G'day, Ash.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm going okay. How about you?
Yeah, no, not too bad.
I'm breaking. I asked permission for the room to break the rules.
Oh yeah.
So I'm breaking the rules.
What was the rules?
The rules are I don't trade the first bar of London session. Right?
Oh right.
I'm not going to trade the breakout either, because we have started to put in lower highs and lower lows. So that's potentially gone into trend. So I don't want to trade the breakout. But I am very keen on this position. It looks just tailor-made, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If I didn't take
isn't it?
I'd be kicking,
I've got a potential trade, but like you, when I'm looking at sort of a kind of group of information, for want of a better word, for all the information I have, it's not all lining up. I'm looking at a short in the FTSE, but the miners actually have kicked off pretty well this morning, and as such an important aspect of the FTSE 100, I can't justify going short. And they've kicked off pretty well, which would probably suggest a long. But then you kind of have the banks down, you have some of the major farmers down as well. Oil is down as well this morning. Oil stocks are down, so there's a real balance in the market. So yeah, like you, when I'm kind of evaluating all the information, it's just not conclusive enough, and I'm going to have to pass on it for right now until the picture changes.
Yeah, that's cool. Look, the picture's still a bit mixed for me on a few of these, because if I look at this, the pound looks to be in a sell zone to me, big time.
Yeah.
And yet I'm willing to go long. Reason? Well, the setup is ironclad. Yeah. I don't know that I want to trade it for too long. I think it's probably a long to get short, honestly. And if we can, get up to here, weekly pivot area, match this previous level here, looks like a head and shoulders then, I suppose, that then becomes a sell for me. So this is purely a short-term trade, no question.
Yeah, do you know, interesting here, just looking at the miners, my thought then goes to the Aussie. Is there a long in the Aussie today? I don't know whether you've been looking at that, mate, but is there a current long in the Aussie? Because there's not one miner that I can see, certainly on the FTSE, that is short, and all of them are kicked off pretty well. Rio Tinto's up nearly 1.5%. We got BHP up as well, 1.5%. And Glencore as well, up nearly 1%. So there's, some of the big hitters that I would associate with the Aussie dollar are doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was certainly on there this morning, or for me, mid-afternoon. No, early afternoon. How long ago is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 hours ago. So yeah, mid-afternoon for me. Gee, I'd be a little bit hesitant to go long right now, I've got to say, but a pullback would be interesting.
Yeah, I see what you're looking at. I mean, this picture could change, but I do think it's quite interesting that they're all up. Anglo American as well. I didn't mention those guys; they're up as well, and they really are dragging the index higher, because most of the other bigger names in the FTSE are down, but not down significantly. Interestingly, that Royal Dutch Shell is down after getting pressure from shareholders to clean up their act by 2030. And there's this is one area that the community has really spoken, and they're saying to these oil stocks, we don't really care, that you're paying us money here. We want you to start to, sharpen things up, because it's the way that you are producing money is just not tenable.
Can you see the iron ore price at all?
I can't, mate. No, I can't.
I heard that was in decline this morning, but I really don't know.
And I wonder if it's had a bounce.
Maybe.
Just because of the way that these miners are looking, I wonder if it's having a bounce. But no, I mean, I probably could search for it somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Commodities. Here we go.
Yeah, that's the key to Aussie in commodity terms, anyway.
Yeah, iron ore. Right, I've got it here. Currently up. Currently up a quarter of 1%. Not nothing significant. Yeah, it's had a huge.
Can you
drop,
see what it did yesterday? Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, I don't follow it, but it's probably worth following if you're thinking of trading the Aussie. That's for sure.
Yeah, really interesting. From the highs, I'm seeing iron ore prices down. 20% from the highs over the last few weeks, but the Aussie's not down anywhere near the same amount.
Against the dollar.
Yeah.
No, against the Kiwi, yes, in the last couple of days, but that's a Kiwi story, not an Aussie story.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. What you would use as a barometer. I think what I will do, actually, now you've mentioned iron ore, I will see where the correlation is over a day by day, week by week, month by month basis, and see how it affects that Aussie.
Cool. So you're not titillated into the market today? You think it's going to be a slow one?
If anything, I'd like to get long. Just from the information I have, the problem is the setup really overall is probably just a bit weak, but the market doesn't look weak. The market looks like it's fairly solid, which usually would suggest some upside. But something's just not enabling me to pull the trigger to go long. But it does look like it's pretty solid today, just because of the big hitters. The big hitters are doing well enough to drag the FTSE up. So we're like you just saw with a pound, we're in a sell zone with a FTSE. And you've struggled to kind of like say it's a long setup, and I suppose that's exactly what I've got with the FTSE. We're in a sell zone, but I've got a long setup. Now, of course, I'm not after much here, but there's just not a lot of room because we are in that sell zone.
Yeah, look, I'm happy to take little profits if they work out fine. If they don't, then we've reduced our risk because of that reason.
Yeah,
so I don't have a problem with it.
I'd quite like the picture just to change in my favor, sort of like to actually match the technicals. Yeah. But they're currently not doing that, so I might end up having to take a long, which I'm not adverse to, of course. If it's going to be a short-term trade, no problem.
Yeah. So just repeating, crystals all aboard, having a little bit of a risk on the table today. Okay, on with that. DP, yes, be bold. I was asking the question, should we take profit where I would normally take profit, which is here, which is the first little swing. It's really the second, but we'll risk it to go to the daily pivot or just under the daily pivot. And of course, crystals also notice that there's a head and inverted head and shoulders sitting there as well. I can go with that. And if that's the case, this is probably the neckline here that we're at the moment. So looking for a break of that crystal. I wanted to point out one thing. Yesterday on the daily chart, those of you who are not or who are in the room now and were in the room yesterday when I took this trade and not in the Telegram group, because I update the Telegram group as to the trade management. When I didn't get TP1, by what, 2 pips. It was only 2 pips away from TP1. I immediately moved my stop loss to entry as soon as that's the case. So I'm asleep, right, when this is all happening. Wake up, miss the TP1 by 2 pips, and I moved my stop loss to entry immediately, and that has been triggered. Now that's and you're just about there now, actually. 1.0945 or 1.0947, up to you what you want to do, but that's just another rule that I have, and I just wanted to make you aware of that. So that that trade is now Gonski for a break-even trade, and I'll get rid of all of these. And look, a few things, mate, that I am looking for, and here's one of them. Euro yen. Look, if I can see a nice low high here, maybe even off the daily pivot, looks like a nice place to be. I'm really looking for a short here, and the reason is we've got what 2 days to go in the month trading wise, and we still have this scenario. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's the 7th month in a row that euro yen has rallied, and it's just going up pretty steeply as well. Now, my contention is this: I'd like you to tell me the last time that euro yen rallied for 7 days in a row. 7 months in a row, and you're going to struggle. You're really going to struggle to find one. 246, 246, because you don't really want to look at downtrends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. 1, 2, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no. 1, 2, 3. Oh, you sod. Are you getting the idea, guys, why I'm looking for a euro yen short? Where are we now? We're back in the turn of the century, and I cannot find one other example of that happening. And we've had quite a few uptrends. This one here in particular didn't happen. This one didn't happen, and now we're in this phase here. And I do believe we're probably at a resistance level that should tell me if this is going to not be the 7th month in a row, then we need to come around off this level. Now, look, that's pure speculation, and it doesn't mean jack at the end of the day, because history is just one of those things that is there to be broken at a given time. And, the more it hasn't happened, then the more likely it is to happen, and all those sorts of things. You get into a terrible mindset when you try and get through that. We had a weekly bar last week that suggested to me that there may be some downside on the way. That high has been taken out. Now, we spoke yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? Probably the day before, when we talked to Shukri on how these things work. When you've got liquidity available to you up here, that may well be the time that this does actually turn around. Now, I'm not just going to speculate and get into the market based on that, but if I were to see maybe a little bounce off the weekly pivot and a lower high sitting here, then I think I would be very, very willing to do that. And that may be tomorrow, as early as tomorrow. On the 4-hour chart, it may be today. We do have a bearish engulfing bar, so this little area here is of interest to me. Best case scenario today would be this: if we could break above here, consolidate a little bit, maybe find this level or this level, then come back underneath here, take out the weekly pivot, retest that area. Gee, I'm talking probably tomorrow now. Then that would be the trade for me. But I'm always willing to look at a false break up here. And if we get that as well on the smaller time frames, more than happy to take it. And it could happen as early as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours from now. That's what I'll be looking for. So I just want to alert you to that possibility. And if that's going to go, and this is going to be not the 7th month, which breaks all records, then it's going to go a fair way. So that's why I'm quite keen on this. 200 pips, if we can get a risk of, say, 20, that'd be pretty cool, right? So there you go. Am I going to scalp it and enter the market now? Not on your Nelly. That won't work for me. But I do see good reason, Ash, why Euro Yen can actually put in a little bit of a retracement here.
Yeah, I think Lewis had a good trade yesterday, didn't he? On on something similar, where he managed to trade the retracement on the was it the Kiwi dollar? He was seeing a little scalping opportunity. I think he did really well with that. When I looked at the chart, I don't know where he took profit, but it ended up being a great little trade.
He said earlier he got into cable short, so that's going well for him.
Yeah.
And look, I concur. I really am a bear on cable at the moment, but this little opportunity here may well be the precursor to me actually getting into it. Let's see how we go. We have been triggered anyway.
It is a tricky one. You know, the FTSE just had a little tip to the downside, but again, you know, the information just is not clean and crisp enough, and this does have the look of a market which is in transition now. Whether that transition actually ends up being some downside, or whether we're just in a bit of a range for a while, is the tricky thing to kind of figure out. You did short the Kiwi dollar, but didn't take TP1. Now back to SQ1. What's
Square?
SQ1?
Square one.
Square one. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Do you know what? It was a good idea, that one, Lewis. And I think, you know, just thinking about what I would have done in that kind of scenario, I would have tried to take profit early, because if you think about the reason that we went up, it was a knee-jerk, in a way, a knee-jerk reaction to a press release that didn't really say anything. So because it was a knee-jerk reaction, it would have suggested that there would probably be shorter-term profits to be taken on that, rather than anything longer-term and fundamental, because nothing's really changed. Nothing concrete, anyway, has changed with the Kiwi. It was just a bit of speculation, really, wasn't it, Jeff? I don't know if you looked any more into that statement.
No, I didn't, mate. No.
Well, it just seemed to be a headline more than anything else.
I was a little bit busy.
But the dollar did have a bounce yesterday as well. Seemed to be after Clarida spoke, there was a bit of a bounce from the dollar. Gold is still holding on to its gains as well. Bitcoin is floating around the 40,000 to 38,000 mark without getting any real kind of traction. And I don't think the market really knows what to do at this stage. You know, the Aussie really, I mean, I'm still in that Aussie yen, and it's just not moving. I don't think the market really knows what to do at this stage. It's just in, as I say, it's in that transition thing. It's almost saying, what else you got? You know, I'm quite happy to buy. We're still in a accommodative situation, I think, with money and everything else, with what the Fed has provided. But but the market's kind of saying, well, what else you got? You know, PEs are way too high in some respects. You know, there's probably a bit of an overbought scenario, and that would suggest either an unwinding or a pause until we come down. Because remember, for the market to sell off, people have to close positions. And it might just be that they're not buying anything new rather than closing positions. It might not be that they're going to take profit. It might just be that they're just not willing to add to positions at this stage. Ash, how's the market outlook for? Oh, sorry, I missed that. Let me just have a quick look at that question. It popped up and then it's just disappeared. Let me just see. How's the market outlook for the end of May? Hey, Scalper Joe, how you doing, buddy? How's the market looking for the end of May? Let's have a look, shall we? Let's have a look at some charts and see what. Have you finished, mate, or are you still going?
No, I'm finished, mate, for the moment. Yeah.
All right,
we're just shy of TP1 on that pound trade.
We'll see how that goes. Well done, mate. That's a great result. A good result on a day like today, I would suggest.
We've got to get it yet.
Let's just put this over here. Yeah, I mean, pip away is almost a certainty, isn't it?
Yeah,
Almost.
never. Not on the
Almost.
pound in the first 30 minutes of the day, mate. No.
Right, so let's have a look. So I'm just looking at this FTSE and seeing if I can garner any more information about taking a trade on it. It does look a little bit weak, but just not. Those miners are problematic. Miners are really kind of holding up a potential short on the market here. And the worst thing is that I'm not even sure what the situation is with those miners. Okay, let me make sure I can flip a trade on if we need to here. So let's have a look at the S&P to start with, and we'll look on the dailies. So obviously the first thing that we should be noticing about the S&P is that it is in overbought territory, and we've kind of got, could call it a double top. We didn't quite hit this high here, but I think we could call this a double top. Looks kind of like an M topping pattern as well. So you can see that really price hasn't gone anywhere and since the end of April. So we're basically exactly where we started. You know, will this end up being a down May or an up May? Looks like it might be slightly lower. So we've only got a few days left. I wouldn't be too positive about looking higher here. I'd be much more comfortable about taking a trade to the downside rather than the upside on the S&P. On the technical picture, if we look at the weekly, these bars are, again, they're just losing a little bit of momentum. This is a hanging man and this is a hanging man. Now the hanging man looks like a hammer, where it's exactly the same, but you'd see the hammer at the lower end of the market and this hanging man at the top end of the market, and it's effectively showing that price is suspended, and oftentimes when things are suspended, they are more likely to break to the downside. So this is a bearish signal on the weekly, and we also have the monthly, which so far looks pretty indecisive. I wonder whether it's going to end up being this indecisive unless we get the PPE number. Now, I think this is important because we've just looked at the technical picture, and the technical picture suggests that we might be. I mean, this is a fairly parabolic move. It's a pretty aggressive move to the upside. The technical picture suggests we might be at a point where the market might just topple over a little bit and come down. But we need to really think about what could possibly drive that particular picture. And what we have is a story about inflation, really kind of gripping the market. So we need to watch the bond yields, obviously, to get a bit of a picture with that. Gold is suggesting that the market does have a bit of an issue with inflation. But let's have a look at what we've got now today. This preliminary GDP number, it's not really important at all. It's a backward-looking number, not going to be that significant. Even pending home sales is slightly backward-looking as well. But it will kind of give us a picture of the general health of the economy. But it's this number that we need to be watching out for, and it's this number that is probably going to drive what happens at the how the monthly candle is going to end up looking. Now, of course, that sounds a bit silly in a lot of ways, because, of course, it's the last day that's going to define what the candle is going to look like of the month. But I think specifically we should be looking at this number, and probably Chicago PMIs. You know, as much as they're not usually that important, and the University of Michigan consumer sentiment, these are all inflationary. You know, they're all kind of surveys which tell us about inflation, and that appears to be what the market is focusing on. That appears to be where the market is concerned. It's concerned about inflation. So if these numbers start to come out and they're a bit hot, then does the market then start to think the central bank is going to have to start those taper talks and going to start to be more hawkish? And if they are, then the markets, the S&P and the Nasdaq, probably most specifically, will weaken. So it's not only going to be about this number, what we need to, because really, if inflation was to happen and there's no talk of tapering, the markets would go higher because the prices effectively are going up. So actually pretty bullish for the market as long as the dollar stays weak. But if we're getting closer and closer to the concern about the dollar potentially being strengthened, and the dollar, and maybe some taper talk, maybe some money supply reduction, maybe some interest rate hikes. There's a whole number of potential instruments that the Fed could use. If the perception is after that inflation number is released, or maybe more specifically after the 3 o'clock number is released, 3 o'clock UK time, the University of Michigan, and the market perceives that as saying, right, well, the Fed are going to pull the trigger, then the dollar will go higher. So we need to watch the dollar, and the market will come off. The S&P will come off. So it could be that we're not really able to do anything until those numbers are released. But it doesn't mean that we can't trade the news in this kind of environment. We can look for that number. Let's assume that if the number is positive on core PCE and Chicago PMIs and University of Michigan, probably more so this PCE. Let's assume that if the number's positive at this stage, let's assume that the market participants will probably be looking for a stronger dollar. Then let's say that we'll look for strong number, weak market, and that means that we're looking for strong number set up to go short. Now, if that doesn't happen, if we get a strong number set up to go long, I'm not so keen on it personally, but it would suggest that the market's quite happy with the fact that there's going to be no movement from the Fed. But it does seem that, for everything that I'm hearing is that that people are concerned about what the Fed are going to do, and they're concerned about it because of inflation. So we can probably make an assumption that a strong number is going to drive the market down. Now, before that number is released, it's speculation. And for me to say by the end of the month the market is going to be lower would be overstating, I think, what I can calculate. Because I just don't know. I do need the numbers to kind of give me a bit of a clue, and then I need the setup to tell me what the market participants are thinking about that number. But I think it's this. I think we can ignore everything else, but I think it's this, and this, and most importantly this. So personally, Crystal, I'd be looking at that and seeing what the price action is after that number comes out. And on top of that, I'd anticipate that with a strong number, the price action should be weak, and we can probably take advantage of that. Oh, sorry, buddy. Yes, you're absolutely right. The unemployment number will be important. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, unemployment claims here. I'm not sure whether that's going to be a huge swinger, but because I think we're still, probably waiting for the PCE. But you're absolutely right. The unemployment number is important. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that, to be fair. I mean, all these numbers are important, but yeah, I think we're focusing mainly on unemployment and inflation. And the thing about the unemployment claims is this drops. So if this is a number that comes down, that is also going to suggest, probably that's going to suggest tapering. So if this is an extreme, and we're really looking for the extreme, if this number ends up being significantly lower, then I would suspect we'll probably see a stronger dollar and a weaker S&P. That'd be the first thing. So there may well be an opportunity today that we can take advantage of from this number, but I'd want it to be pretty extreme. I don't want it being around here. Certainly not around the 4-4.
Just close that pound trade at break even, mate.
Okay, well, all right, nicely done, mate.
Well, I don't know.
So yeah, we are looking for that. So hopefully that helps, Crystal, and gives you some clarity. I think the takeaway is to look for, four of the numbers. Today we're looking at unemployment claims, as Lewis quite rightly says. Maybe the core durable goods orders as well, but really the unemployment claims, they're all going to be released at the same time. This being low would suggest a stronger dollar, because that would suggest that the labour market can handle some kind of tapering of some sort, which would potentially drive the S&P lower. Because remember, we're in a sell zone. 3x or 5x will be good for traders. A 3x or a 5x. What does that relate to, mate?
5 times risk.
Oh, okay. 5 times. Yeah.
Don't know. 3x.
Yeah, I mean, how you manage the money after the information's out will be personal, I think. You know, because I'd be happy for anything beyond a 1-to-1, I'll be more than happy with. But that's because that's the current way that I'm trading this. If you're looking to hold on to something, then yeah, you probably want something a bit deeper than that. Oh, sorry, mate. Unemployment at 300 or 500.
There you go.
Will move the market. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would have thought a 400 could move the market as well. Less unemployment claims. Anything below, I would have thought the 444. I mean, you think if it goes down to 400, that's a 10% reduction in unemployment claims. So I would have thought anything sort of like less than maybe 7% of last time will probably move the market. But the important thing is we're not looking at the number and then trading. We're going to look at the number, look at the price action, and then see what the price action is going to tell us. But I will assume that if the number is positive, i.e. less unemployment claims, I will assume that the dollar will go higher and the S&P will go lower, and then I can start looking to see whether the price action matches my assumption. So that's how I will try and get out in front. We should probably get to the quiz, mate. I don't have anything else. I'm looking at a market which is unattractive. Look at Bitcoin. I mean, that is just astonishing price action when you consider that this is a monthly chart and not a 5-minute chart. It's just crazy.
Where is it now? 38.
What's the price?
Yeah, where is it? 38, is it? Is that
38, yeah, around the 38,400 level. Attempting to push back higher. I think Bitcoin's still got the danger of moving down here a little bit more. So somewhere around about the 20 level. I think Bitcoin could halve again, but it's only a could. I don't know. I don't really know what's going to happen, but what will be significant is if Bitcoin cannot recover sufficiently, because this is really a classic evening star, where it's not only taken 3/4 into this bar, but it's taken the low of that bar out. And will it take the low of that bar out by the end of the month? Who knows? Who knows what people are thinking? We know that the initial move, again, was a knee-jerk reaction in what China and Elon Musk said, and maybe some other aspects as well. And then we've had the move back to the upside. Now, is the move back to the upside dragged a few of those other people back in just to add some liquidity? So there is a bit more of a clearing out of positions. Who knows? But we will certainly see. I'm not sure whether we're going to get any more in the way of catalyst and driver for a lower Bitcoin. But what the driver was last week is there's still the hangover of that. That hasn't really cleared up. I think as a non-event personally, China putting regulation on Bitcoin, big deal. I think the big thing is going to be if the American regulators go after the crypto space and the UK regulators. So because the China have done it already, it's no new story. I think it was just a kind of a catalogue of releases at the same time. But I think that it's been sufficiently manipulated and should bounce back ultimately. But it might come down a bit further over the course of the next couple of months. Which really puts us onto risk off. That's where we are. We are in this risk off environment to a degree. It hasn't really taken a grip yet, but Bitcoin as a bit of a proxy, if you like, as a message, would suggest that there is not so much confidence out there, which suggests that the Nasdaq and the S&P and the FTSE could all have a bit of profit taking. Even though the numbers overall and longer term are pretty good, the price point might not be as attractive here, so people won't add to positions. So then it's a question of, will they take profit, and if they do, then it's going to drag this down. And I do think that that's going to be probably more about what's going to happen with the Fed than anything else. So that's where we're at, mate. As I say, I don't see anything else. I don't see anything attractive. The FTSE looks weak, and I'd really like to take a short-term move to the downside on this one. And technically, it looks pretty good, but I'm still seeing the miners that are holding on, and the miners are far outgunning anything that's negative by some margin as well. So I'm not interested in shorting the FTSE. I think it's just going to be a difficult session, and one of those that you have to employ some mental aptitude to say it's just not there. You know, I'm not going to force a trade and get into something that that is just not clear as much as I'd like to. So I'm sitting on the sidelines, mate, and using some capacity to look at the chart, make a decision, but not do anything.
Okay, then I'll just update what's happened so far today. So far today, we decided not to trade the pound US dollar breakout. We did decide to take a long here above this candle here, and that is now through TP1. If you hung on, I did not hang on. I got out when it retraced back to break even, and I closed the trade. Reason is, well, I broke my rule to get into it, number one. And number two, I always expect the second 30-minute candle to come back on the first on UK Open. So I'm out. I hope you guys stayed in. You should now be at a safe level. I'll now be looking for short, I've got to say, pound US dollar. Although, that said, we are in a range and we are coming off the bottom of that range. So it will depend what price does here. It may give me a second opportunity as a false break. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Also, those of you who came in late, the only other order I've got in the market today, other than what's already been in the market all week, is EuroCAD, and it is a short on the daily chart, selling at 1.4749. The stop loss is at 1.4825 and TP1 is at 1.4721. There will be yeah, look, if you're not in the Telegram group, then you probably won't get updates on this one. So I'll give you an idea of where I'll be taking second profit, and it'll be pretty clear. It's not rocket science that I'd want to be taking second profit there, around about the 146, so 110 pips below entry. And then if we go through there, obviously, we will update that later on. I actually like this for a few reasons. But the best reason, I suppose, is we've got plenty of room for profit before the weekly pivot, and that's what I like the most about it. We shall see. Everything else is as was at this time yesterday, and bugger that pound, Ash. Bugger that. Or bugger me. Bugger me, not bugger the pound.
Do you know what, mate? It's yesterday we had Dominic Cummings, who was the most important advisor to the Prime Minister, during Brexit, and he was really the architect of Brexit. He was in front of a parliamentary committee yesterday and made some pretty damning comments about the government, and he did throw Boris Johnson under a bus. And I think there would have been some movement with the pound today from what Dominic Cummings said. But ultimately, I think it will settle down.
Lewis, it's not a difficult question to answer. If I can find that somewhere. Where is that trade? Yeah, Lewis is asking me how I can hang on to this EuroCAD trade for months. We got in on this bar here, you'll recall, and that is now more than 5 months ago. And the reason we got in was very, very clear. We had arrived at, rather, a crucial, in my humble opinion, key level where price just could not get through since 2012. It struggled at this level. So as soon as we got the opportunity to trade off that level, with a lower high on the back of a tweezer top, that became very, very clear to me. The questions surrounding that were, are we going to get through the trend line, which we have now done? But to stay in it for months, I can't say that we're going to be where I need to be at 2 o'clock the next day, unfortunately. Otherwise, it'd be a much, much easier thing to do. But there's my target, right? So I just stay in whilst ever the market tells me I'm not at my target yet, I suppose. The positive thing here is that we've got positive swaps on this.
I was going to say, mate, yeah, you're getting positive swaps on this as well, aren't you?
Yeah, it's not costing us anything to stay in there. So
are you actually getting paid for it?
Yeah, we're actually getting paid to be in.
Oh, so, it's amazing. I mean, that's the kind of trade you want, isn't it?
Yeah, it's rare, I've got to say.
They must work it out on the interest rate differential.
Well, they used to. I don't know if they still do.
They changed and then they're flipping back again. But fantastic. I mean, why wouldn't you stay in a trade that is paying you positive swaps?
Yeah, look, we might even take some more profit this time next week. Where's the monthly pivot at the moment? I won't be able to see it. There it is there. This will move down again, of course. So I may just sneak a little bit more on, maybe bring it down to here, bring the stop down to here and get a bit more money in the bank in case. And you said that oil is off today, Ash? That may well be the reason why EuroCAD's rallying. I don't know.
Oil is no, it's a little bit weaker, but not really, not too much. No, I was really talking about the oil companies having pressure from their shareholders to clean their act up.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So the oil company, so I was just saying that I think it's Royal Dutch Shell down about 1.5% because they're just they're under pressure. They're going to have to, because the thing is, it's one of those as well. Anybody looking for something to short, oil companies like Royal Dutch Shell and Exxon are probably quite good options right now, because if the shareholders are, going into the meeting and saying, sort yourselves out, you've got to make the transition away from this dirty energy a lot quicker than you stated that you will do. That's going to cost these guys a lot of money. And effectively, it's the shareholders that own the company. And if you get enough of them that are all saying the same thing, that then they've got the power to make sure that things happen. So that does mean that the profit lines on those particular companies are going to be stretched. I would have thought, actually BP's down as well a bit today, but they haven't had the same pressure. And interestingly, that BP is down by around about 0.75%, where Royal Dutch Shell's down about 1.5%. You've probably got a long short trade there, long BP, short Shell. You'd want to look into it a little bit further, but it does appear that Shell would have a lot more costs coming up than BP.
Cool. We better get to the quiz, but before we
better do, yeah.
Lewis, just one more thing for you. If you want to test your patience, then we do have another monthly trade. What is it? This one, pound Kiwi. But I think you probably already know about that. It's still pending, hasn't triggered yet. But that is going to be my next monthly trade if it actually triggers. And the same applies. We've got a double, triple bottom here. We can't get through that level. We've come back off it. We've retested. We've got a clear false break coming through here. There's all sorts of things going on here. I know that the month this week has brought the month down a fair bit on pound Kiwi, and that may well be the case for quite some time, but I'm going to keep that in the market because look at the reward that's potentially available to us. You got these highs here. In the first instance, you've got this high for a risk of, you've got 900 pips there for a risk of, can't remember what the risk is, 700. So 1.5 to 1. Then you've got 2 plus to 1 when you get here. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if it did, if we got up to there, then you've got about 700 to get you, let's say we're conservative and get out there, 4,800 pips. it's 6-7 to 1. So that would do me. You probably will have an issue with this one in that your swaps will be negative. So that would have to happen relatively quickly, or you'd have to tray your stock pretty fast. So just to maintain that profit schedule, if you like. But if you want to have a crack at that, I think that's probably the next one that I've got up my sleeve. See how we go. Sorry about that.
No worries at all, mate. Let's get to it. So we got the quiz. John, are you there? Is the quiz man there?
Is he ever? I can hear that flute. I can hear that flute from here.
Right. So
how are we doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Let's we've gassed on a bit too much today, I think, Jeff and I. So it's probably
if
me.
Everybody was listening to that, they might get a flavour of some of the questions.
Oh, all right. I better make some notes.
Yeah. Well, in a holistic sort of way. What's this say? This will stop others screen sharing. Do you want?
That's fine.
Yeah. And I want to go with that one. Share. And well, before that, get rid of that jump for a minute. Do that. Is everybody able to catch that stuff?
We got it.
You can see it. Yeah.
We got it, mate.
Okay. All right. Admit. Yes, I knew that.
Helen, yeah, Angel will do that. Helen, oh great, Helen's back with us.
Okay, Helen.
Hey, hello, Helen.
LT's back in the room as well, so I didn't say good day to you, LT. Good to see you. And
getting the old crew back together.
Look out.
Getting the team back together. Come on. All right, Helen, you're obviously into this quiz, right? Right, come on then. Let's see who's going to be the winner this week.
Okay, I've learned something about Zoom there. Okay, question number one. Which is the world's longest lasting fiat currency?
Oh, is this in history or most recently?
In history. I did a bit of research. I was surprised actually. But once I realized why it came into existence, I wasn't surprised.
Okay.
And if everybody was just been listening to, your angst over trading the markets today and Jeff's next potential long currency pair, I think you might be in. It's still an operation. It's still rocking and rolling.
Okay. Okay. I like clues, but I only like clues if they help me get their answer right. So
okay. Right. Okay.
Don't worry about telling me. I'd prefer to know that I'm wrong. I've got an answer. Oh, do you know what? I haven't put it in the chat box.
I can't see everybody.
There we go. I've got my answer.
Okay, so the longest surviving fiat currency apparently is. Oh, if I can actually get my slides to work, that would be pretty useful. No. How about that? It's all got a little bit peaked on. Well, why can't I get that to work? I wonder.
If you hit spacebar, is it not working? Eh?
Nobody said the Mexican peso. That surprises me.
I'll go down the nav. You should have got pound sterling.
Oh, brilliant!
But you got a home ground advantage, Ash.
Created on the back of silver, and the reason that 1694 is important, it was created to finance a war.
Always are, mate. They always are.
Yeah, true.
Okay, our crypto question for the week, maybe. Margaret Thatcher and Elon Musk both have something in common. Their actions and words can and did move the economies of the world. However, this week, Elon Musk was willing to do something that Margaret would never do. What was this?
Oh.
Now there is this.
I like this, John. I like it. Don't give any clues because I know the answer. I like this answer. Okay, so Elon was willing to do something that Margaret would never do.
Interesting, Jeff. I don't know.
Actually, do give clues because I don't think I've got it right.
Interesting fun fact: when Thatcher was the Minister of Education in the Heath government, she had a great policy. She got rid of free milk in primary schools.
I'm going to say.
Okay, oh yeah.
Am I right? Awesome.
No. Okay, talk to the miners.
Oh, there you go. I put clean up mining, but you put talk to the miners.
She did in a way. You could give yourself half a point for that. She refused to talk to the miners in '84. The reason behind that, if everybody needs something to send them to sleep later on, she was Minister of Education in the Heath government, which was brought down by the collective actions of the unions. So when the Labour government lost to Thatcher's election, she vowed never to give in to them.
Yeah.
Interesting, fun family fact. My family, as a collective whole, what would you call it? The psychology or the relationship with us all never recovered to this day.
Oh, really?
From that strike, and from the strikes in the 80s, yeah. The late 70s and early 80s was never recovered.
That's really interesting, mate, because I think the same things happened with Brexit this time around. I think there's a lot of relationships that probably haven't recovered. I've still got a friend that I absolutely despise. I'm joking, of course. He is an idiot, but but I don't despise him.
Okay. Back for the euro, each country had its own currency. Can you remember the names of the following countries' currencies before the big change?
Oh.
Okay, so we've got Germany's previous currency, Holland's previous currency, France's previous currency, and please be kind, Italy's previous currency. Obviously, we haven't put the nice one there.
Not sure how you spell that.
No, I'm not sure how you spell it either.
We'll take that.
I can't think of Holland's. I have to put tulips.
It was at one stage.
It was. What was Holland's?
It's quite a tricky one.
I used it. I've used it in the past.
3 out of 4 for John.
Yeah, I can only get 3, I'm afraid.
Yeah. I thought I'd throw one in there, which was a bit of a. My favourite one is the Deutschmark anyway, because I can remember having at least 2 years of my life using that currency. Okay, we should have got the Deutschmark, the Dutch guilder.
The guilder, yeah.
The French franc and the Italian lira. We did not put in the Greek currency because obviously they parked that in a dodgy bank in New York, so they could get access to the currency. This is quite a long-winded bit of history. Ash is responsible for this. Ash mentioned a very famous date in English history. 1066 was an infamous battle on the beaches of Hastings. Unfortunately, King Harold lost by not staying behind his barricade and came out and got the arrow in the eye, and it was all over Red Rover. However, that was just a battle. William the Conqueror undertook a change that affected everybody in England and Wales. And this change to this day affects probably everybody across the world. We even, the peasants, gave it a special name. Do you know what it was? As far as I know that this is correct, I was going to say, Ash, if you didn't get that right,
I should know that.
You'd be buying the first beers.
Well, I know it now, but I didn't know it, so I can't claim it.
I mean, you're right, Jeff. I have got a bit of home advantage this week.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I sort of said it had a bit of a flavour.
Got Pom's writing the questions, Pom's answering them. What's going on?
But yes, but in our defence, we won't go. We're not going to go well into cricket. Rugby union and rugby league is going to go like this. And after United lost on penalties last night,
that was a shame.
The Euro is going to go the same way. You should have come up with a Doomsday Book. It is the oldest surviving record of supposedly wanting to know how many people were in the country. But in fact, as you can see, the coffers were empty.
Yeah, it's basically an inventory, isn't it?
Yeah, King William decided to get everybody's dates, where they were, what they got, who owned what, because he needed to pay his army in taxes.
And do you know what's interesting about this, John? This links to the modern day attempt by really what Cardano is trying to do in Africa, trying to give everybody an identity by logging them. And having these smart contracts, so it's actually links to where we are today, actually quite cleanly. Yeah,
I mean part of it isn't good because King William actually wanted the money.
Yeah,
the front was this, make everybody had an identity.
Yeah,
they wanted the money. Fun side fact, if you want to get even more sort of old and go to sleep. In my last school, which was just outside Hailsham, I think it's got a different name now. I taught an ancestor, a descendant of a knight that came over with William the Conqueror. And
wow!
He's got a castle. There's a castle Barnard up in Scotland. There's one in what is Northern Ireland, and their estate in France. Quite a fascinating.
Very cool.
That's why I was into that one. The last one is a little bit of a carry on from last week's theme. Can you tell your majors from your minors? Obviously, Ash can and I, because we are musicians, we're pretty good at that. But it isn't a major or minor chord clash. It's currency pairs. My apologies if I've got some of these pairings in the wrong way. I quite like that phone message. So I always thought it was an actual gecko in the room.
Oops.
I think I've got that right. I do this for me as much as anybody else, because I know everybody else in the room probably got it. But I did learn that majors have got the dollar on one side of the equation. I was going to put not a spoof question in, but I'll ask the head men in the room. What is Sing US dollar pairing called?
Yeah, what a good question.
And I was stumped because I actually think I think it's probably wrong though, but it's not a major or a minor.
Oh
yeah. But why would, and I've got to ask this question, why would it be an exotic noun? Surely Singapore is not an emerging economy. But apparently it's to do with liquidity.
I was going to say, yeah, Singapore's economy is actually it's quite small in many respects. I mean, it is it over punt, you know, it over what's the word? It punches above its weight. There's no doubt about it, and it is a developed economy. But overall, it's not one of the kind of bigger economies in the world.
Okay, there's only 5 questions today because
That's okay.
Were multiple answer ones.
That's okay, mate. No, I quite like the fact that there's 5, and actually we were a bit late this week anyway, so 5 would have worked out well. I think I did pretty well. I think I only got I got half of the minus thing. The Deutschmark, I missed the Guilder. I got the majors and minors one right. Obviously, I got the Doomsday thing right. Yeah, I think I've only missed out on about 1.5 points. I don't know if we're adding a point for every major and minor.
Yes, there's a point. There's 6 points on offer there, and then there's
thank God for that.
Then there's a 4 here. That's 10. There's 6. Everything else was worth 1 or a half if you.
I got 10 3/4.
I got 11.5. Actually, what was question 4?
You must have got more than that.
Question 4 was Margaret and Elon.
Oh no, not that one. What was the next one? Yeah, I got that one. What was the next one?
We got.
Okay, so I got 1 for that. Yeah.
Was the pound?
Yeah.
Running. Margaret
Half for that.
Elon had differences with miners.
3 there. So that's 4.5.
And then a little bit of history, as you mentioned.
4.5, 5, yeah, 5.5.
Gets us the Doomsday Book. Everybody pay tax for my war, please. And then we had.
And all 6 of those. Yeah, I got 11.5. 11.5.
Now I've had my 4th Zoom lesson, so now I've got the little picture of everybody and their cameras, and then I've got my chat box up on one side. So
it's all happening for you.
I have learned, it's a bit easier. Just as a side note, my wife is a teacher, and when they went into lockdown mode 14 months ago, they transferred to Zoom, and it was what's the word? I won't swear, but it wasn't good. They had screens hidden behind.
Oh yeah.
They had Zoom bombs everywhere. The kids had a field day.
I don't know whether Zoom is necessarily the best system, or whether they just, you know, Zoom just need to iron some stuff out, because probably some of it is human error, but it's not very intuitive. Zoom, I mean, it is getting better, but I do think when it all started, it wasn't very intuitive. So I struggle with Zoom for a while, and I still do occasionally now, where it just kind of puts the chat box somewhere that I haven't got a clue where it is. I know it's a look now, but it does kind of.
That's what I was doing, trying to find the chat box. It was like hidden.
Yeah, it disappears.
So now she's being a cover teacher online on Monday.
Oh right.
They're only a cover teacher online because we're back in a lockdown.
Oh right. Okay.
In Singapore, but the numbers in Malaysia are. I'm not saying they're quite out of control, but we're running at 6,500 new cases a day. So.
Wow.
She's got to go into a cover teacher who's going on maternity leave. We run Max. She's just been given a PC, and she's got to use something called Teams, which is Microsoft's.
Microsoft. And I would have thought Teams might be better than Zoom.
I think it does work well, but it's a shame. The PC that's been given is from the ARC. So every time you press connect to video. So that's what we've got out for the next 2 days.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with that. I just play my flute.
Yeah.
I have worked out some tunes that are not copyright.
Oh, go on then. Give us a quick music round then.
But I can't do it today. I'll do it next week.
Okay, no problem, mate. Well, we're probably a bit pushed for time anyway. I think we're probably at the end of our week. Thanks so much, John. As always, a great
cheers,
way
mate.
to end the week.
Helen, your is this a statement or a question about dollar yen being a major? Definitely is a major. I haven't got any more trades.
No, me neither, mate.
Moment,
Me neither. I'll be. Oh, there's a question from Helen. Yeah, the market hasn't moved pretty much, I guess, as anticipated. So we are waiting for stuff. So I think I will get to trade later on. I don't think I'm going to get to trade this morning. I don't think I'm going to get to trade in the UK session. And to make sure that I don't do anything silly, I'll be turning my charts off. And I'll be coming back around about 1 o'clock UK time and turning them back on again, ready for some data releases and ready for the US Open. But yeah, I'm taking the rest of the morning off, mate. This looks like a pretty hideous market to try and get into, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm okay with it, as long as it behaves itself the way I anticipate it might. I'm looking for the euro versus the US dollar to come off that daily pivot, maybe get underneath the weekly and retest the trade line or trend line and get short that. But it has to do all of that before I do. What else have I got? That's about it, really. Got that Euro CAD order in. We've still got about 4 or 5 of them running, so all good. I'll update those for you guys who are in the Telegram group sometime tomorrow. See what I'll do, if I'll carry them all over the weekend or take some more profit. We'll see how we go. And that's probably me, buddy.
Cool, good stuff, mate. Okay, people are loving the quiz, John. It sounds like it's quite educational as well, which is very good. I quite like that we're getting educated. Helen did say it was a bit Anglo-centric, which I like as well. Don't take that as an insult.
It was a little bit this week.
It's not always like that, though. To be fair, it was a bit more edged towards the UK today.
Yeah, it is. I took the lead from 1066 on Monday, so I thought, okay. The UK or England in particular is responsible for quite a lot of things around.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll follow it through. I mean, if you wanted a quick one, what was the main reason that Scotland was forced to join the Union?
Oh,
this is to do with trade as well.
The main reason they were forced to join the Union. Let's
the monetary thing. In the end, they tried to emulate the East India Trading Company.
All right.
By setting up something down in, I think it's in Panama, around that area, and it went spectacularly wrong, and they got broke financially. So it's a case of, okay, come in. So
no, that is interesting, mate.
Now I understand. They couldn't afford underpants, right?
Yeah.
Now I get it.
And so was this around the time of Robert the Bruce, or was the Robert the Bruce thing more a few centuries after, where he was like, no, I want out?
This was after. This is to do with the trade and commerce. The actual union of money.
Yeah.
And that's the not the royal family and things like that. It's the actual the to do with money. They thought that they could go it alone, and it didn't work out.
Interesting. So they were forced to join the Union.
Yeah, to do, and because it's all to do with cash. A little bit like the UK in the end became America's sort of missile carrier for quite a long time, because they were just paid off the debt of the Second World War.
So I wonder if will history repeat itself? I wonder. Scotland leave the Union, and then in a few years' time they find out that they've made a terrible decision, and they come back and join the Union again.
Yeah, I don't think they'd survive.
Well, I don't think the reason I don't think they would survive is purely because they do base quite a lot of the economy on oil. And if that is a dying industry, then Scotland could be in a lot of trouble. They might do, though. I mean, that does kind of assume that they haven't got any ideas of how to evolve, and I'm sure they do. I would be sad to see the union broken up for other reasons that aren't economic. But by the same token, if the UK can argue that the reason that we've left the EU is because of sovereignty and nothing to do with money, then you've got to understand the Scottish argument. That they want it. Yeah. They want their own identity. You got to understand that. Okay. Anyway, mate, we could go down a rabbit hole. So let's not go too far into it. So we're waiting for later on. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to you, John. Thank you to you, Jeff. Thanks to everybody in the room for being our trading buddies. Thanks to Angel for your great work yet again this week. We will see you next Monday. No, we will see you next Tuesday because we are off on Monday because it is the bank holiday in the UK. So I won't have anything to do, and chances are that the currency markets might be quite quiet as well. So we will see you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, guys.
100% everything that Ash said times 2. Have a good one, guys.